Hi, everybody. It is 11 o'clock on a Wednesday, which makes it, or Thursday, actually, sorry. It's Thursday. But that makes it Rad Mom time. And, y'all, I've been dealing with a personal struggle this week that, like, I wish I could go into, but suffice it to say, I settled that shit at, like, 10 o'clock last night. So, I am here for you. I'm here for anybody who is looking for me. Because I didn't want to let anybody down, and because we got to keep it going. We got to keep the channel going, no matter what else happens. I want to say it feels like we're so close to getting somewhere, but it's felt like we were so close to getting somewhere for like 2 years. But, happy Thursday, everybody. It's been the week from hell. How are you? I look a little strange with these things in my ears. Oh, well. Hi, somebody. How you doing? How's your Thursday going? We would normally be having a video premiere right now here on the channel, but... Oh, okay, fine. I'm just going to light my cigarette anyway. Look. A cat. So, yeah, I'm just kind of hanging out. Waiting to see if anybody's going to show, because nobody knew I was doing this. There's supposed to be a video premiere right now. And, yeah, no. Life just got away from me this week, you guys. Life. It's been a time, and I wish I could tell you about it, but it's all settled now. But I didn't get it settled until about 10 o'clock last night. So, I've just been... And I left my ashtray in the other room. Hang on a minute. And I just can't help but think, sitting here and chain smoking in front of the camera makes me think of that day that lady came by and tried to pick a fight with me. That was funny. It was kind of exciting, honestly. We don't get a whole lot of, traffic around these parts, do we? No. And that's not helping anything. Is the last 2 or 3 weeks, the videos have just absolutely gone nowhere. And the computer is trying to do something. That's great. The videos have gone absolutely nowhere. And it was suggested to me that I might perhaps try putting descriptions on them. Which I will do. I just... Really? That's going to make it pop off? Really? Are you sure? I don't know. I'm actually kind of disgusted with the whole thing. And if this weren't so damn important to me, I'd be taking a break. For at least a week or two to focus on other things. Because I just have a lot of stuff to do. I have 3 kids who live at home with us, a husband, and mother-in-law who live with us. We have 3 dogs, 2 cats, and I'm writing a novel. So, and it's gardening season, so it's not like I don't have anything else to do, right? But, I honestly believe that if I keep hacking away at it, something's going to really happen this year. Just because we really are right there, barring some kind of, which, and quite frankly, I don't bet that this won't happen. Barring some kind of catastrophe where YouTube just dies, or they completely change the format on me, which I'm not discounting either of those things. Frankly, I have kind of assumed, because this is just the way I think, and just, this is actually happening right now at my church. I have been running a nursery at the church since last September or something, and they're going to... Our church also runs a school, and the school is going to be taking over that space. Still have not been officially informed of that. They're going to, rejuvenate, revive. They're going to redo that part of the building. So, like, our nursery is going to be closed for months, and no one has, still to this moment, no one has mentioned this to me. And the school year is like a month and a half from being over. So, like, I don't know. Are they going to put them there next fall? I have no idea. But that's the kind of thing that happens to me all the time. Is I have had this nice little consistent thing that I could go and do and enjoy, and they're just going to take it away without telling me, without, it's just going to be gone. And that just kind of happens to me. So I don't know. Maybe I should watch this back later and hear, just so I can hear just how pessimistic I probably sound right now. Where in the fuck is my lighter? What the fuck? Y'all, not kidding. This has been an absolute week from hell. I'm not even kidding. I'm so dumb. Well, I don't know where that one went, so I found another one. I don't know where that one went. I had to find another one. It's fucking ridiculous. And, I love the crowd that has gathered. Obviously, everybody was super just biting their nails waiting for this video premiere, right? But yeah. Where was I? God damn it, I interrupted myself. But with this, it's very challenging to keep this going, with everything else that's going on. And if it didn't mean so much to me, I would probably be taking a break right now. God damn it, I was saying something and I interrupted myself bad. But, I was dealing with a personal crisis all week. Oh, thanks for the like, somebody. I was dealing with a personal crisis all week, and that shit resolved itself at about 10 o'clock last night. So, this week's video is going to become next week's video, and it's going to be a banger, y'all. I got ContraPoints on deck, okay? Like, it's going to be a banger. It's going to be some fun stuff. I have the material. I just didn't get to it. And like I say, it's gardening season. I'm trying to finish my novel, which that was part of the crisis, which sounds silly, but I don't know. I get in these, like, it's all one thing, and if one piece is not functioning properly, the whole thing kind of falls apart. And I wish I could remember where I was. Just sounding. Oh yeah, I was telling you about the nursery at the church. I've been running that for, over 6 months now. And they're going to take it away from us. They're going to shut us down or something. I actually have no idea. They're going to put the preschool from the church school over there, which is fine, but they haven't officially told us anything. They're going to be redoing that part of the building. So our little nursery is going to be either moved or shut down or something for weeks, if not months. And I do not officially know anything. Okay. This happens to me all the time, where I'll have something nice that just gets taken away and this is why part of the reason I'm just I'm discouraged about the YouTube, because the last couple of weeks, the videos have not gone anywhere. And I really do feel rationally like this year is going to be a good year for the channel. Barring some catastrophe, right? Barring YouTube shutting down or completely changing their format or something. But I wouldn't put it past it. I would not count that out, because this shit happens to me all the time. And I've kind of been assuming in the back of my mind that I was either just going to miss it, or I was finally going to get going with this, and then something was going to happen to make it impossible to do. That's just kind of what I've been expecting all along, because that's how things tend to go. And I know that sounds pessimistic as shit, and I'm sorry. I can't. Like I say, I don't think that's the rational estimation of the way things will go. Rationally speaking, I expect YouTube to keep on churning its thing, it's keep on churning away, doing its thing for indefinitely, right? But now I'm here, and I'm trying to get a piece of it. So obviously they're going to have to shut it down. Like, I don't know. Who am I talking to? I got any of my regulars here today? What's up, y'all? Got a couple people here now, which thank you for the likes. That's awesome. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody else has not had the week from hell. Like, spring break threw me off so bad, I have taken all week to recover, is what it's been. Like, my poor little routine. I have to compartmentalize my time so strictly. And it just absolutely went out the window. My poor little routine just absolutely got torpedoed into non-existence last week. And it's taken me like till this morning to even begin to feel recovered from that. Which I don't know how anybody else works about it. I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where that's just what works for me is I have to focus on one fucking thing at a time. And if your turn ain't up yet, then you get to wait. Unless you're a human being, in which case, I can put a thing down and focus on a person. But like, sometimes I have to not do that either, because you know how kids are. Well, frankly, you know how human beings are, where a lot of times they don't stop to think if maybe you're tired or something. I don't know. I hope this doesn't just sound like I'm complaining. I've had a terrible week. That's all. And I don't know. Let's see what's going well. I want to say the book is going well. I'm having a little bit of trouble putting this bit together. Okay, because I have to write a love story. I don't read those. I don't watch those. I've experienced a couple, but like that's not quite the same thing. So like now I get to do research into a genre I know absolutely nothing about because I want to pull it off, okay? Because like this isn't spoiling anything, but like if the core relationship of your story doesn't work, then the story doesn't work, right? So I have to do it right this time. I rushed it last year and I smushed a bunch of stuff together that didn't belong together because I just thought, okay, this character used to be in her 80s. Who the fuck is going to want to read about some old lady? I don't know. So I truncated it the first time through. I cut it off. I squished everything together and cut it off early because I just had this feeling that nobody's going to want to read about an old lady. I don't know. So, they're going to get to. Anyway, that's going to be book 3. We're going to get all the way to the end this time. Hooray. And yeah, no, I did have a big thing where I changed the arrangement of it a little bit. And I've been doing a little bit more research and like, so the second book now ends in a bit of a cliffhanger. Well, it's a total cliffhanger because, again, I don't want to spoil the plot too much, but we're going along in book 2, and then all of a sudden it kind of, okay. And then that's the end of the book. And I was like, I didn't even realize it was a cliffhanger because this event happens, in the arc of the story anyway. And I had just cut it in a different spot. And it becomes one hell of a cliffhanger. Okay. And then I was doing a little more research and they're like, yeah, the only time you should use a big cliffhanger like that is at the end of a book in the middle of a series. And I went, oh, well, there we are. So y'all left me a couple likes and then flitted away without saying anything. Well, thank you. I wish somebody would talk to me. I'm so bored. I'm gonna sit here and do this till 2 o'clock because that's my scheduled time. That is the time. This between 11 and 2 is time I have set aside for this. So here we are, right? But like, I don't know what to talk about. I can't tell you the plot of the book because that would be spoilers, I mean, I don't know. It's not like anyone's going to probably sit here and tell you the whole damn story. Nobody's going to see it anyway. I'm a little discouraged, you might say. Like I say, this is too damn important to me to just let it go. I am just way too stubborn for that. On the other hand, this week, when something popped up that just demanded my demanded my attention. Well, you know, the video was going to be shit anyway. And that's the other thing is sometimes if it gets to that crunch time and I know that what I'm going to put out is not going to be good because like it's late and I'm tired and there's no way I'm going to make the coherent arguments that I want to make, there have been a few times I have elected to just not do that. Okay, to just not make a mediocre video at the last minute. And this week's video has become next week's video, so it's going to be stellar, okay? I got all week to work on that shit. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to choose. I don't have to worry about splicing the clips together because I got all that done on fucking Sunday. But yeah, I don't know. My head is a lot in my book right now, really, because I have to finish the damn thing. I have to finish the damn thing. There is no point to any of this if I never finish the damn thing. And like I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll put book 3 down for a little while and go up polish up book 1, you know, so I could get it out there, so I can be shopping it around while I'm finishing the third one. And then I got to thinking about that, and I'm like, no. I need to add this scene. I need to add that scene. It's not just some polishing. There's actually some rewrites that need to be done, and that will snowball on a person, right? That's the kind of thing where you're like, oh, it's cool. I'll just dip in here and polish this up a little bit, and it'll be no big deal. 6 months later, right? I mean, no. I feel like that might actually make things worse. And just make me feel more overwhelmed by the project. So I'm just going to sit in the spot where I am and move forward from where I am and then go back and do the rewrites when I'm done, like the whole like was playing all along. But to have to, like, I'm just trying to think of what I did last year as a rough draft, because that's what it is. People get rough drafts, right? Like, that's a thing. I don't usually, you know, and like when I was doing the blog, like there's no who writes a rough draft of a blog post? Like, that's not how that works, right? I would just go in and polish it up and polish it up and polish it up until it was where I wanted it to be. There's no rough draft, you know. And that's the way I had been thinking of the novel too. And I think I kind of drove myself a little insane in the beginning by trying to do it that way. There are 3 or 4 drafts of the first book because of that, because I was trying to polish it up and finish it. And I didn't have all the pieces, so I couldn't have done that. But I didn't know that, so yay. Yeah. Creative process. You guys like the grounds at the bottom of my jar there? Isn't that pretty? So yeah, so that event, the thing that was kind of had been sort of the midpoint in the middle of the third book, is now the cliffhanger at the end of the second book. So now I have the whole third book to do what I need to do, and she's going to get old, and people are going to have to read about an old lady, and there's nothing I can do about that. I hope, you know, that doesn't put people off too much. But I figure, I mean, geez, by the time you get halfway through the third book of a series of 3, like, hopefully you're in it, right? Like, hopefully you're there for it, right, by that point. But yeah, so right now I get to write the relationship, the actual core relationship stuff between the 2 main characters. And like, if the main relationship in your story doesn't work, then the whole thing falls apart. So I want to do it right this time. You know, the other draft, I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants, just kind of feeling it, hoping it would come together like it had been. And then it kind of didn't, because I rushed it. I rushed it. I know that now, but well, hindsight is 20/20, right? So I did actually get to talk to somebody about this the other day, and that was so great. That was so great. I don't read romance though. I don't really watch romance movies. Like I've had 1 or 2 of my own, lucky me, but like I've never, you know, so I need to do this right. Like, and we kind of started out the situation where like things are not set in, things are very loose between them. You know, I know, okay, that doesn't sound right. Things are very unstructured between them. Things are very up in the air. There it is. Yeah. Between the two of them at the beginning, and I have to bring them together in a way that feels natural. You know, they can't just fall into one another's arms because they're supposed to, right? That's how it actually work and actually makes sense. You know, and my husband likes a good rom-com, so I asked him this morning, I said, what is it, you know, that you need in a story like that? You know, what draws you into a romance story? And his answer was basically that. Realistic portrayal of like interpersonal relationships. So, yeah. Okay. 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 So we have, you know, she's kind of shell shocked because of stuff that just happened, which I'm not going to tell you about because, boy, howdy, is that a scene in book 2? Oh my God. And then, you know, he's kind of just, he's, you know, a very stiff upper lip kind of guy, but, you know, in the best possible way, you know, like he's the guy who will make breakfast the day after the catastrophe. He's the guy who gets up and makes breakfast anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where we are right now. And then they're going to be doing some investigating because, you know, shit went down and they don't really know what all that was about. So if you had seen some shit go down and like people died, like shit went down. Okay. You might want to find out what that was about, right? But it's 1876. So we can't go to Google. Okay. We have to actually go around and dig through stacks of papers looking for information and stuff like that. So, and it's one of those things like I've just got to get over myself. I am so afraid I'm going to be boring the pants off people. Okay. Because it's not Harry Potter. Okay. Because it's not, you know, a lot of action sequences. It's not a lot of sex. It's not a lot of, you know, I need to get past that. I need to get past that because it's like, yes, it's slow burn gas lamp fiction. It is. It's slow burn Victorian fiction. And like if you're not down for that, that's cool. My book's probably not for you though. And that's just how it is. Like not everybody's going to be my reader. You know, I'm not and that's fine. That's fine. But so I got to stay true to what it is so that whoever my reader is will find it. Right? Because that's the trouble that, you know, you run into when you try to give things broader appeal is you screw over whoever the person was it was going to be special to, right? You screw them. They're not going to get that special thing, whatever it was that would have hit them in their heart. It's not going to do that now because you spread it out too much. So I can't do that. No, and ideally, I would like to spin this up into anything. And, you know, I have a trip I have to make because I went ahead and set the book in a place I've never been because stupid. So now I have to go there. Right? And it's in another country on the other side of an ocean. So that's going to take some doing. I cannot drive there. I cannot just save up for gas and drive there, you know, like we Americans love to do. We'll just drive there, right? Nope, can't do that. So, no, like I say, this is all one thing. What up, Sarah? Slow burn is the best. I know it's complicated, but a ContraPoints Twilight video discusses this in depth, and I found it fascinating. What up? So, okay, thank you. That's a reason to watch that video because, quite frankly, I was like, number one, why do I care about Twilight? It seems like an odd topic to choose in the here and now. Number two, why in the hell do I care about ContraPoints talking about Twilight? But you know what? You're right. That's a romance story, isn't it? Hot damn. I absolutely should go watch that. Thank you. That's a good suggestion. It was good. Well, okay. And like, I'm not going to say he's not a talented presenter. He just grinds my gears something awful. And like I say, he's actually in the video that was supposed to be premiering right now and will be up next week. I've been staring at ContraPoints talking to somebody else for days. And he just aggravates the snot out of me. And like, one of the things he said in this interview is that feminists never had to fight for women's bathrooms. And I'm like, what? Huh? Yeah, right. That's why women's public restrooms just happened to become a thing at the beginning of the 20th century during the suffragist era. That just happened to happen coincidentally at the same time. What? And then the scary thing is, I went to look this up and I found opinions on both sides. And I'm like, wait a minute, though. But then he literally in the same breath turns around to say about how Phyllis Schlafly used unisex bathrooms as a threat in the 70s, talking about the Equal Rights Amendment. If men and women are the same under the law, they'll have no women's rooms. Why would that be a threat? If ladies' rooms were not important, why would that even be, if they weren't precious to us, why would that even be a threat? Why would that have worked like that? I don't know. It's one of those things I thought would be I thought that was going to be a slam dunk because that is so stupid. What a stupid thing to say. What do you mean women never had to fight for our own space, public spaces? Yes, of course we did. And, I need to do more research and I'm going to have time now. I'm going to have time to dig that out because that's going to be next week's video because he just, when he's talking off the cuff, maybe is what it is because his videos are scripted. But like some of the stuff he says just off the cuff on podcasts, is what this was. It was a podcast. Is just wow, And he's just so talking about. Does nobody remember the aughts and how they were, using these same arguments against gay marriage? And I'm like, you were born in 1988. Like you were a kid. You were a teenager. Like I'm not that much older than him, but. They're redefining marriage was slogan at the time, and now they're talking about redefining woman, and I'm like, those two words are not the same. Marriage is an institution. A woman is a person. You can redefine an institution. We have many times. An individual, human beings are less so, right? The material reality of human life is less easily redefined, right? It's not the same. And the forced teaming is so strong in this interview, okay? The forced teaming, homosexuals, the gays, I don't know, between gay rights and trans rights, like they're just, the assumptions that they make. And the dude who's interviewing him is like, yeah, all cis gay people are down with the cause. Most cis gay people are down with the cause. Duh. And it's like, you would say that. You would say that. Every rights organization in the world wants you to believe that, don't they? Interesting and thought-provoking points from a writing perspective. Right. Yeah, masculinity always shines through, right? Even in the Twilight video, but at this point in my Read From journey, I cannot exclude all the problematic people. I'd have so little. He makes them interesting. Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. And it's like me with my eco thing that I do. I'm going to deny myself a car, though. Out here in the countryside, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to help the earth. I wouldn't be able to help anybody. I'd be stuck at home. Interesting and thought-provoking points. What up, Boomba? How you doing? Thought-provoking points from a writing perspective. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that Contra was like into writing fiction. I didn't realize that was like a thing that he dipped his toe in ever. It's kind of a terrifying thought. So it's literally just an analysis of Twilight. I am curious. Did he mention why now? Like, no, he didn't mention why now. Okay, that was my immediate question when I saw that. It's like, dude, you put out one video a year. You don't want to make a statement? It's much bigger. Twilight is just the crux. Okay, that is literally the title of the video, though, not Twilight, etc. It's just. And, you probably could go on for that long just about Twilight. It's not like there's not enough material. How many of those books are there? 3, 5? I don't know. I've never read any of them. But you're right. It is what you would call a successful romance. ContraPoints put up a video about Twilight, and I am currently trying to write a book. It gets into female sexuality and male gaze. Oh, Lord. See, that's got to be offensive, right? I don't want to sit there and listen to ContraPoints talk about female sexuality. There's no way that's not offensive. Okay. So, holy shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Apparently, there are 7 of them. It's not the worst. I really want to know what you think now. Oh, okay. Well, we could talk about that next week on the live stream. Probably, I'll have opinions on it by then. He just, like I say, he aggravates the snot out of me. I'm working with clips of him for this week. Well, I was for this week's video anyway. Thank you. So yeah, I had skipped it, but apparently he's talking about something that's up my. Right, he's so exhausting, and he's talking about Twilight, like the books or the movies. I don't know yet. I guess I'll find out, because Sarah said that he had some interesting and thought-provoking points from a writing perspective, and writing a romance is what I'm currently attempting to do, at least in miniature, okay? Because a section of the book, okay? Because we have this relationship at the core of the story, and this is the part where it blossoms, right? And I have to do it right, because if the core relationship doesn't work, then the whole story falls apart, right? Nobody's going to give a shit. And I don't read romance. I don't watch romance. I am not a romancy kind of gal. So I have some field research to do. And if I can, and if that video is worth a watch and it's up my alley, then who knows? Maybe it came out at the right time. I don't know. Maybe. There's a fun thought, huh? Maybe he was inspired to make that because he's going to tell me something I need to know. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows, right? Why? But I just kind of thought, I'm like, dude, you put out 1 video a year. Don't you want to say something important? His name counts as a keyword, okay? Like in keyword search, software, okay? Like his name comes up as right. So if I were that famous and I only put out 1 video a year, you bet your sweet ass that video would have something to say. What the fuck? Oh my God. Yeah, that's another thing. That was what actually made me choose the clip I'm going to respond to. It was because they're talking about J.K. Rowling and how she behaves as if trans ideology is some sort of powerful cabal, and they're laughing at this idea because it's really like some loser with 100 followers on Twitter, says the dude who in the same video talks about how he has 400,000. Okay. Y'all doing a podcast, basically coming up with every single reason why J.K. Rowling might be behaving the way she is, other than she doesn't agree with you. Right? They're coming up with every possible reason they can think of why this woman might be out there bashing trans rights, other than she just doesn't agree with trans rights. And, yeah, they're laughing at the idea that trans ideology is some sort of powerful cabal. And I'm like, you're famous because of it. And you just admitted that you have enough money, enough Twitter followers to make money off that. If you could monetize that shit, you'd be rolling in dough just from that. What the fuck? Are you serious right now? Do you people not hear yourselves? Just talking such garbage. And that's that's what I'm saying. Like, ContraPoint's videos are scripted, but when he just goes off the cuff, some of the stuff that comes out of that man's mouth are just so absurd. What's the name of the fella who interviewed him? Oh, doggone it. Um, it's not on here. Are you serious? Even in the scripted videos, I'm like, that is a serious dude take from a male right, right, right. And I have responded to a couple of his older videos back when I was doing the live reacts. Because yeah, they give themselves away so much. Oh, actually, what do you guys think about this? I was going on an honest opinion here. I was planning to do this. I was going to use a snippet from Runaway Sirens video on the Holocaust denial issue because it was so good. And obviously I'm going to credit her and I'm going to sing her praises because her videos are good. Okay? And I feel real dumb trying to say the stuff she already said better than I would. So I just kind of spliced her in. So it goes back and forth between this guy saying a dumb thing and her rebuking him, telling the truth. And then he says a dumb thing and then she says the truth. Like boom, 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 boom. And I think it works. But I don't want to piss her off. I don't know. I haven't asked her about maybe I could ask her. Oh, I have time to ask her about it. Fuck yeah. I have a whole extra week. I'll just ask her. I'll just go to her community page or something and be like, hey, do you mind if I, kind of do a little crossover here and I've done that before just because I'm not picking on anybody. Some of my sisters out there are doing great work and I feel stupid and just redundant. And like, I would be ignoring them by repeating the same stuff that they've already done so well. Does that make sense? And it's just a couple of minutes from her video, to rebut the dumb shit that he says about Magnus Hirschfeld and how that was, allyship. And it's like, no, you guys. And this did not occur to me. Okay. You know what? Let's go ahead and look that up. When were anti-rejection drugs invented? History of immunosuppressants. Wow. Steroids were developed very early on in the history of transplantation. Okay, but that was thousands of years ago. I don't believe that. A short history of immunosuppressants and the women who invented them. The woman who invented them. Awesome. I've been thinking about the field of experimental transplantation research lately. Now there's an opening sentence. Wow. I found out that one of the earliest immunosuppressant agents was 6-mercaptopurine. 6-MP. Was developed by a chemist named Gertrude Lyon. I was delighted to find out that a woman invented this drug, especially as recently, blah, 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 blah. First used in the late 1950s. Okay. Runaway Siren. Yeah, sorry. She's awesome. Her videos are great. And well researched. She clearly has the time to put in the research where I sometimes do not. And I think she's moving to Thailand, I think is what she said. She's one of those that like is sort of international jet setter sort of person, works, in foreign countries and does all sorts of interesting things. But yeah, so they were doing these sex reassignment surgeries, these gender affirming surgeries in the 1930s, 20 years before they had any kind of medical way to keep people from rejecting transplanted organs. Okay. And that movie, The Danish Girl, y'all remember that? Lily Alba, like they mention Lily Alba, like Lily Alba, like he's a celebrity. Okay. That man died from a womb transplant. How exactly is that not some Dr. Frankenstein level shit? How exactly is that not some Dr. Mengele level shit? Okay. How exactly is that good? They killed that man. There was absolutely no way for those organs to not be rejected by his body. That was a death sentence. What did they think they were doing other than just experimenting on this poor man? But these are the heroes. These are the heroes, right? These are people who were apparently trying to cure homosexuality by transplanting testicles before anti-rejection drugs had been invented, before they understood what they were doing. And it sounds like a horror show to me. I had not put two and two together on that one, that they didn't even have the immune suppressants at the time to pull that shit off. They did not have the drugs to do it. They didn't have the technology to do it. It's like, yeah, you can cut up somebody and stick some shit in them. And then what? Yeah, it's horrifying. It's horrifying. And this dude is sitting there talking about Magnus Hirschfeld and his, Center for Sexual Research, like they were the bastions of liberalism, of modern thought. They were trying to cure homosexuality with surgery, but yeah, sure, right, allyship, okay. And I do love the tweet that she supposedly was, Holocaust denier-y too, which was that this person said, well, the Nazis burned books about trans healthcare. Why do you agree with them? What? That's a bit of a stretch. That's a bit of a stretch. You know, I'm sorry. I just can't. Like, this is so batshit to me because you want to talk about remembering the past. I grew up in the 90s. Back when World War II was still World War II and the Nazis were still the Nazis and they were still dead and gone, for God's sake. At least we thought they were, right? Like, this was history. It was done. It was over. We were trying to learn from it, right? And the idea that this has all been relitigated, it's so bizarre to me. It's so bonkers to me. Like, the homosexuals, we're the target, okay? Like, Weimar Germany was the liberalist liberal that ever liberaled, basically. And, so the conservative wave swept in and burned it all down, which, they tend to do that. But, like, one of the reasons I think Lily Elba ended up being so famous was because he was one of the few. That's a theory of mine. I admit that. I have no, I can't show you the steps factually to how I got to that conclusion. How many transsexuals were there in 1930s Germany? Right? Like, as opposed to, what is it? Approximately 10% of any given population is going to be homosexual. They just are. So, who are they targeting? I mean, the whole thing is so stupid. And suggesting that trans people were not a target of the Nazis is not denying the Holocaust. Like, it's like somebody said, ooh, we can slap this label on her now too. Now, she's a TERF, she's a bigot, she's a racist, she's a Holocaust denier. She's every bad thing they can possibly fucking think of. And, she's disagreeing, and I also disagree, actually, with their narrative on the subject. That does not make me a Holocaust denier. In the same way that disagreeing with the actions of the Israeli government do not make me an anti-Semite. What kind of logic is that? Now, if anybody were going to make me an anti-Semite, it would be my Jewish ex. Okay? Or his crazy grandma. But no, I decided at the time that I'm just going to dislike those people because of who they are. They gave me ample reason. I don't need to invoke their ethnic heritage. They're just shitty people. And I've definitely met some shitty white people in my day, and what the fuck am I going to say about that? I think we just have to roll our eyes and keep speaking. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're going to come after me and call me this and that and the other awful thing. And you know what? They start out this bit by talking about how J.K. Rowling does not use her platform properly. That she does not act like a public figure by, fighting these little battles. And then they actually do go on to admit that there are millions of people online who see her as a hero for doing this. And I'm like, yeah, like a public figure or something, right? It's almost as if that's part of the gig as a public figure. And like ContraPoint says something about how, well, even if you have, more success than you ever dreamed of, you still have something in your heart that you got to find that next fight. And he's saying this as if it is a bad thing. He's saying this as if this is some feeling of J.K. Rowling's. And I'm just like, yeah, that's how people be. Okay. You're never, ever, 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 ever going to be totally content. That's just how that's part of the human struggle. Okay. So yeah, even if you do find yourself sitting on a mountain of gold, with movie deals coming out your ears, you're not going to be content entirely. You never will. Nobody would. Nobody would. That's just not how people work. So yeah, she went and found another fight and is using her clout in a way that they don't like. And that's really the sum total of it. There's your preview of next week's video for you. But like I say, I have the material. I had it all ready to go. I just had some personal shit to deal with this week. That was knockoff from last week when everybody was home all week, and it's just taken me this long to recover. And I don't know. There's a little part of me that wants to say, am I autistic or something that I can't juggle 20 things at once? And then the other part of me goes, I don't know. I don't think most people can actually do that. I think most people are fooling themselves and stressing themselves the fuck out, right? This is what's expected of us in this current cultural climate where you're just expected to just do it. Just do it all, right? What if you don't want to? What if you don't want to have it all? What if you want to pick and choose, Well, then you're lazy or entitled or both, or you have to fall back on claim some sort of mental illness as to why you feel just incredibly. I mean, I think a lot of things that we're expected to deal with would be an insult to anyone's dignity, not just mine. My babies and hubby got strep, and I'm like, nah, can't get disease. No time. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm sorry. That must be so stressful. Was that over? Did you guys get spring break too? Yeah. Well, at least there's that. At least they're not missing school. Which, boo, spring break is ruined. But on the other hand, at least they're not missing school. At least they would have been home anyway. And I don't know. My creative soul hates the idea of a routine. It's really bad here. Doc said no COVID, but RSV. No okay. But lots of strep. Wow. See? And my little one had a sore throat a couple of months ago, and he tested negative for strep. We still don't know what that was. But he's back at school today. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And he's happier there. His friends are there. He's almost 7 years old. He doesn't want to sit around the house with me all day. How boring. And yesterday, he came in here. He brought the little Game Boy thing. I don't know what it is. I don't really play video games at all. And he said, Mom, can you help me with this boss battle? I said, no, I cannot. I literally cannot. I don't even know how to work that thing. I could show you. No. I'm not going to learn how to play video games just to help you with the thing you probably shouldn't be doing anyway. But I did. It's a Mario game. And so I got to kind of tell him that, like, Mario Brothers is really kind of why I don't play video games, because, like, that game, I never, ever made it past the second level of that game. We were the one people I knew who did not have a game system. So I never got to practice that in private. I always got to practice that with someone watching me and kind of laughing at how bad I was at it, because everyone can do that. And it's just like, I don't know. That kind of thing just sort of over the years came to represent to me, embarrassment, humiliation. I don't have all the positive associations with it that everyone else does. I don't know. We didn't have the thing at home. So like and that didn't occur to me for years, but that's what it was, is I didn't get to practice on my own to get good enough to not embarrass myself every time I picked up a controller. So I just kind of don't. And it's fine. I'm not sore about it. Like, honestly, where do they go? Like, where in your life do they go? Like, there's never a moment when I think to myself, gosh, I sure wish I could play a game right now. Like, it just never, I don't know. I do other stuff. I don't know. And I'm not sure where I would put it. Like, if I did decide, I'd really like to get into gaming, I'm not sure where I put it. And, the other thing about that is I figure you want to talk about things that are just going to continue indefinitely. I doubt gaming's going anywhere, right? I can always learn to game when I'm old. And I got nothing better to do. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe someday I won't be so busy. It's funny. Talking about J.K. Rowling, that is where I put those books, too. I decided when that shit was, coming out and being the biggest thing, and I'm like, well, number one, the last book's not out yet, so I'm not going to get invested in a series that has no end. Number two, even when the last book came out when I was in college, like, hello, I'm not going to sit down and read a whole series of 7, like, and get so invested in, like, apparently it absorbs people, right? And I did not have time for that in my life. So I thought to myself, it's cool. I'll read Harry Potter when I'm old and I can't go out and I have nothing better to do. So, oh man, I was at release night for each book. I was at the age of the kids when it started. Right. No, let's see. The first one came out in 97. See, that's one part of the trouble. Wait. He's 12 in the first book, right? Nintendo Switch. Yes, that's what it was. How do you know that? Is that just where the Mario game is on a little handheld thing? I mean, anyway, I don't know. Right, like that's what let's see. The first book came out in 97, right? I want to say, so like I would have been 13. But I was just one of those cynical kids where, like, if I could tell that something was aimed at me, I did not want it. I did not want to feel marketed to. I did not enjoy that sensation at all. Which, so unfortunately, I was like a hipster before being a hipster was a thing. I was uncool before being uncool was cool. Okay, like I was, everyone is into this thing, then I am not. Like, that's just who I was. I don't know. So, in order for me to have been obsessed with Harry Potter like that back in the day, it would have had to be obscure. And, well, it's not. So, boy, I resisted getting involved in that for a long time. I didn't finally sit down and watch those movies until I was in my late 20s. And then it was just to be conversational about it because I had figured out by that point it wasn't going away, And and if I ever get in the room with her, I have one question for her. I do. Why is your main character a boy? Why did you do that? Why did you make Harry a boy? Why? There's no reason. There's no reason. There is no reason that character has to be male. I can't think of one. Uh, the story wouldn't change, essentially, if the main character were a girl. Like, you could have written it that way. So boys would read it right, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. And if in a parallel universe she made the character a girl and the damn series didn't take off, I mean that might be her answer. I don't know. I assume she has one, or I wouldn't bother asking, you know. I assume there is a reason. Because as a woman, I mean, that seems like, I mean, why would you write a male protagonist? I'm just, you know, it seems like there was a choice made there. Like, right, it does suck, but like you're right, I could see that logic. But like, um, um, I need people to read my book. um, oh my god, I mean that was almost 30 years ago, right? Like, I can't change that. I can't change that. It does affect my story. It's better now. I mean, yeah, one hopes, one hopes, one hopes. But like in my case, it would affect the story if the protagonist were a dude. Like that would affect the story. Like when something gets cool, I lose interest, right? Hey honey, how's work going? Um, but yeah, no, actually her being a woman is kind of a big whoop-de-doo, you know, not just because it's the Victorian era and that like changed your whole life trajectory at that time. The pot of coffee mocks me. I'm sorry. Oh, you asked yourself why Harry Potter's a boy? Yeah. Well, and okay, you know what? You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right because she didn't put Joanne Rowling on the cover of the book, did she? She's kind of stealth about that, wasn't she? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, I see it. I see it. I think I see that. I do. And I've been doing mine with my initials in my head just because that looks more professional to me. I don't know. Like J.K. Rowling is not the only one to do that. J.R.R. Martin did it. J.R.R. Tolkien did it. Like it's just sort of, I don't know. It's not standard, but it could be, you know. And again, I make no bones about like the feminist themes of the novel. I mean, it oh, but they're not the main event, you know. They're mostly subtext. It's not, you know, it's a story set in a time period, you know. And a lot of the commentary flows naturally from that. But considering JRK, I'm assuming you mean JK Rowling, had to pay a bunch of money to the author of The Worst Witch, it was probably an attempt to take a step further away from the source material. I really need to look at that because like there is that. I don't know the story behind. I really don't know the full story there. Which at that point in this imagining, I'm talking to the author, so then I'd probably just have asked her about it. But like, right, good take. Right. That's the obvious reason. Verbatim. Like it's not, and that's the thing, is the plot is a bit different. Like it's also And at this point, there are so many young adult stories that deal like go into any children's section in your local library and you will see easily a dozen of them. Young magic users in a school for magic users doing in magic user adventures. Like this is everywhere. Okay. It's that setup, but yeah, it's like a girls' school, I think. Like I say, I need to finish looking into this too. But like I want to say if it was actually just plagiarized, we'd all know that. Right? There's no way that wouldn't have got out. She just plagiarized one of the most popular novels on earth. Right. I get you can only make so many songs with the same 13 note, but it's a little spot on. Right, but how spot on? I actually don't know. Okay, apparently they made it into a movie. No, it's a television show. That's great. That doesn't help me. Book series. Thank you. Huh. Lovable but accident prone Mildred Hubble is probably the worst witch ever to go to Miss Cackle's Academy for Witches. Since 1974, millions of readers have enjoyed Mildred's exploits, and now she's back to capture a generation of readers. Oh boy. Book 9, 7, 6, 5, 4. Apparently there's no book 8. 3, 2, book 1. Let's see. Mildred's beloved tabby cat has been deemed unsuitable for a witch and is relegated to the kitchens to be a mouser. But when her class flies off on a school trip, Mildred concocts a plan to rescue Tabby and bring him along in secret. That's the synopsis for book 1 of The Worst Witch. Again, similar setup, but it's I don't know. I mean, obviously, I kind of want to defend her because, well, as a person, quite frankly, she has, right. It is. In the court case, they showed that the plot lines followed each other. The arcs are the same. It's a lot more than coincidence. Well, I wasn't saying it wasn't. It was coincidence. But so, like, where did you read about that? Because I would be interested to read that. Damn, that's disappointing. I mean, the books definitely did not age well and are for kids, but too many grown-ups are weird about it. Yes. And that was one of the other things that kept me away from it for a long time, is because one of my friends, well, she was one of my dad's friends. I had known her since I was a little girl. As an adult, got absolutely swallowed up by that shit. Lived, breathed, slept Harry Potter. Before the movies came out. Okay? Like, I do tend to stay away from things that engender in anyone that level of obsession because I ain't got time for that shit. I have my own stuff to do. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can find this myself, huh? According to the Sunday Post from 2019, it hasn't been acknowledged. Murphy herself has until now remained silent on the matter, but in a new interview in 2019, so this is 5 years ago, she says that she would appreciate a thank you from J.K. Rowling. Rowling has not acknowledged that Murphy's work was an inspiration, although The Worst Witch was published in 1974 and had become a best-selling series by the time Rowling sat down to write her first Harry Potter story. Murphy said, "It would be nice, I suppose, if people would say thank you, but you have to be gracious." Oh, dear. Both series feature young characters who go off to boarding school. While Hogwarts has boys and girls, Murphy's school is for female witches only. Murphy's publishers asked if I could make the school co-ed, which I didn't want to do. In retrospect, that would have cleared the pitch for those who came after me, she said in an apparent reference to Rowling. The worst witch heroine is Mildred Hubble, who Murphy, 70, said was partly based on herself. Hmm. And I don't really see anything any newer than that. Like, let's see. The past year. It's like Disney people or anime obsessed people. It's strange. Yes, it is. Not in the wiki either. Huh. So if I remember right, HP and WW Book 1 are extremely close, but from Book 2 on, JKR took things in her own direction. Okay. I mean, that's the other thing, is like you didn't plagiarize 8 fucking books, did you? 7? There's 8 movies with 7 books, right? Like, I have a Glamour article that's titled "A Complete Breakdown of the J.K. Rowling Transgender Comments Controversy." 9 movies, 8 books? Really? Like, I could swear it was 7 books, and then they split the last book into 2 movies. Right, but it was 7 book, 8, 9 movies, 8 books. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. 7 books. Right. Okay. 7 books, 8 movies. Right. Okay. But so it's one of those things where I read them on a treadmill trying to lose weight. That's why they seem longer. Yeah, probably. But so I want to, defend her on the one hand because of her actions in the real world since, you know? And, I would love to. I would love to know the story there. Apparently, it's not on the internet. At least not for the last 5 years. But it's the kind of thing of like that was almost 30 years ago. As a writer, though, I mean, oh, that one stings, right? And it's the kind of thing where you really just do want to kind of get the person in the room and be like, so, please explain this. Please make this make sense. Like, but like, the fact that she's taken that platform and used it to speak up consistently, so consistently for the rights of women. I mean, personally, for that, I almost want to give her a pass. Like, really, like, how many are there, right? How many others are there out there who are willing to just so consistently step up to bat like that? There just aren't any. that I know of. There are no other celebrities out there holding that line, right? They're not. And, ContraPoints and what's his face for making fun of her for being on Twitter all the time. And it's like, well, yeah, she's down in the trenches, slogging it out with everybody else. I don't see, she doesn't have to be doing that. Like they are right about that. She doesn't have to be doing that. And it seems like maybe a strange way to spend your time if you're, excuse me, if you have all these other things you could be doing, but like, dude's like, yeah, if I had her level of success, I don't know about you, but I'd be on a yacht. It's like, you can access Twitter from your yacht. She could be on a yacht. I'm just saying. I doubt it because she lives in Scotland and the North Sea is not exactly yachting water, but it's possible. It doesn't mean that she's not out enjoying her life as well, I guess is what I'm saying. And, she does seem like a busy lady, considering apparently they're rebooting Harry Potter for HBO or something. And Warner Brothers Studio got a new head recently, so they want to spin up some more movies with her IP and actually involve her in it. So that's nice. Like, so she's a busy lady with her own stuff. She does still have her own stuff going on, which you can't do if you're just obsessively on Twitter all the time. So, she seems to have found a way to work it into the rest of her life in a way that, frankly, I never did. I left Twitter back before Elon bought it because I just didn't have it in me. And it's not that it's a cesspool. I mean, it is what you make of it. I enjoyed it, but it's so time consuming, to try and keep up with all that. And then you end up with Twitter brain, right? Where like the whole world kind of seems to revolve around Twitter. And like, you can tell like content creators and broadcasters and stuff who like do Twitter because they act as if it is real news. So yeah, I actually got off there before everything went insane. None. There are none. That's what I'm saying. There's nobody else out there doing what she's doing. So I applaud her wholeheartedly, and I think it's amazing. And if you had asked me 10 years ago who would be the one, I would not have picked her. I would not have picked her. Not because I necessarily thought she was a bad person or anything. She would not have been top of my list of people I would guess would be that woman. But so I do. I almost want to, like, again, as a writer and everything, like the plagiarism question is definitely a question. But considering how things are going, it's really not that big a question. How in the hell did she get to that position to hold a line like that? I almost don't care. What up, Philological? How you doing? So, for anybody who's late to the party, I had a bit of a personal crisis this week. It's really nothing, it's all resolved and everything. But so this week's video is going to become next week's video. And I've been sitting here for over an hour already because I got on at 11 because this is the time I have allotted for y'all. Okay. And, the compartmentalization of my time and my routine is very precious to me. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. We're just going to bite the bullet, And we were talking about J.K. Rowling and how she is like the one person out there in the public eye as a celebrity being an unmovable rock for feminists, for women's rights, And I love how she originally entered the fray sarcastically. Thank you. Yeah. But like the whole thing became resolved at like about 10 o'clock last night. So, the video is it'll be next week's video and it'll be super good because I have ContraPoints lined up. They're talking about J.K. Rowling being a Holocaust denier. It's a whole thing. and it's going to be good. And now I have all the extra time to do the little bit of extra research I wanted to do, so it'll be even better. Because like I have the material, I just didn't get to it. I actually have it all spliced together and everything. I just didn't get to sit down and do it. Like, oh, hey, don't forget the city is supposed to be stopping by again today. I did not know that. Did I know that? Okay. You have any idea when? Funnily enough, Mary Beard almost got dragged into a similar thing as Rolling for the same reasons. I know that name. Who is that? She's working hard for you guys. I promise. Oh, yeah. No, I am. They know. Mary Beard. Really? Oh. A classicist specializes in ancient Rome? Oh my goodness. Oh, the crisis of classical studies on Mary Beard's Emperor of Rome. This was from last week. The legacies of ancient Greek and Rome have reemerged as key cultural battlefields fought over by everyone from left-wing scholars to gun rights advocates. Wow. Among classics critics are university administrators keen to eliminate majors that do not lead directly to employment. TRAs got mad at Beard for following turf accounts on Twitter. That's terrible. Let's see. And groups of scholars frustrated by the discipline's historical exclusivity and Eurocentrism. You can't study the ancient Rome of China. Like, that's the root of our civilization. Whatever. Its champions include scholars fascinated by antiquity and its enduring influence, as well as tens of thousands of undergraduate students who sign up for classics courses every year. Not to mention the many people who, social media has recently revealed, think about the Roman Empire at least once a day. Classics has never been more popular, nor has it been more endangered. This is, then, a moment when classics desperately need another book by Mary Beard, the Cambridge scholar whom The Guardian once called the world's most famous classicist. Not classist, classicist. Better than anyone else in her generation, Beard has mastered the ability to explain to 21st century audiences why the ancient world is interesting, instructive, and useful. She has waged social media battles against misinformed people of all political persuasions who seek to use the Roman past to make ill-founded judgments about our contemporary world. Her work on television and radio has introduced millions of people to the art, literature, and architecture of a beautifully complicated Roman world. Her essays challenge people to think in new and exciting ways. Her documentaries on ancient Rome are so good, but I'm not sure where she stands on all this. Right. Well, apparently she caught heat for following turf accounts on Twitter, so that's a hint. Also, by the way, this is from the Los Angeles Review of Books, written by someone called Edward J. Watts. I don't want to plagiarize anybody. This is someone else's article that I am reading to you about this topic. Let's see. Her essays challenge people to think in new and exciting ways about women, slaves, peasants, and other figures whose contributions to the ancient world have long gone unacknowledged. In Beard's books, including her masterpiece, SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome. That's literally what it says. I don't know what SPQR stands for, but from 2015, prompt readers to consider the complexity of the Roman world that fascinates them. Her latest book, Emperor of Rome, Ruling the Ancient Roman World, 2023, showcases many of the attributes that make her earlier works so appealing. Emperor of Rome tells the story of the lives, labors, and love affairs of the 26 men who ruled Rome between the reign of Augustus, 27 BC to 14 AD, Rome's first and most famous emperor, and that of Alexander Severus, 222 to 35 AD, the most forgettable and largely forgotten child emperor with whom Rome's fourth imperial dynasty concluded. The last. Beard Beard wisely decided not to make the work a chronicle of the life and deeds of men that most readers have never heard of, and even fewer particularly care about. Jill Barrett is an ally as well. She's used her platform to speak out a couple of times. There were protests in England and UK. She took a lot of heat for it. Wow. Okay. See, I don't necessarily want to drag her into this. She has her lovely little costumery thing that she does, and if she wants to stick with that and not get her, personal brand beat into oblivion, that's her business. Okay. Because she's already doing something else. Me personally, this is my brand. This is what I do. So, come at me. She says little about the short reigns of Galba, Pertinax, and Macrinus, while treating readers to long discussions of more famous rulers like Caligula, Claudius, and Nero. She is also well attuned to the need to make modern readers comfortable with the many unfamiliar names that pop up in her discussions. The book begins with a cast of characters in which images of Roman rulers are shown, alongside regnal dates and a brief note describing how each man took power and died. It concludes with a short appendix that explains how Roman emperors got the names by which they are now known. These extremely useful tools help orient all readers, regardless of their familiarity with Roman history. Mary Beard isn't a TERF, but she plays her cards close to her chest on this stuff. If I were to guess, Beard is probably a gender moderate like me. Emperor of Rome is not just about these emperors, however. Beard also introduces the wives, lovers, family members, household attendants, senators, slaves, and courtiers who made the professional and domestic lives of Roman emperors possible. We observe these people as they travel with the emperor across the vast world he controls. Beard is at her best when she overlays the testimony of Roman authors with her interpretation of the archaeological remains of the structures they describe. She meticulously reconstructs the various imperial palaces. Anyway, I gotta bounce. Sorry, I have to come in and randomly derail the conversation. I'm at the British Library with my mother. PhD edit. Oh, good luck. Good luck. You're gonna be done soon, right? Beard acknowledges that there was an unbroken succession of Roman rulers down to 1453, when the Eastern Roman Empire finally collapsed, and explains her decision to stop her profile of emperors when she does, because with the death of Alexander, the job description began to change. Have a great week! Done by May 8th. Ooh. So, yeah, you're like in the last month. Ugh. We may not see philological again for a little while. Gonna be busy. So, what's the problem? I'm flipping through here trying to find. Okay. Right. But I do hope that someone of her stature will choose to write the sort of book that might pull the discipline back from the brink. Every author has the prerogative to set the terms of their own work, and Emperor of Rome is excellently done according to the terms its authors set. Beard has put together a wonderful narrative that enlivens in brilliant color the world of a group of Roman emperors that readers already fascinated by a classical version of Rome and antiquity will certainly love. It is certainly not Beard's fault that classics finds itself in its current troubles. Okay. Oh. Beard probably has a lot to do outside gender stuff. You can't expect everyone to participate in this battle. Exactly. Although according to this, at 68, she has completely has lately taken compulsory retirement from 40 years of teaching undergraduates at Cambridge. Uh, Let's see. In a world defined by what she calls presentism, a blinkered obsession with the here and now, Beard offers a spirited, repeated reminder that there is nothing new under the sun. That is the message of a series of short films she has just made for schools, which open up for teenagers culture war questions of free speech. Beard has lived on the front line of that conflict for some time, cheerfully strapped to the mast as she navigates those rough seas between outrage and woke. Quote, I don't think university campuses are quite the nightmare of terror some newspapers want to make them, she says. But I think, too, it's probably easier for teachers to talk to kids about Socrates than about social media. He may have died 2,500 years ago, but it turns out he had quite a few of these ideas worked out. If you can encourage kids to think about the issues historically, you have made a start. She's fond of Cicero's maxim, if we are not ashamed to think it, we should not be ashamed to say it. I don't know. You could almost put that into reverse, like maybe that's not a good litmus test, because there are definitely some people out there who've managed to convince themselves to not be ashamed of some stuff that like they should have kept private, right? Like shame is not your only marker there. The most useful advice I ever received, she says, came from a man who was a real toughie. He would say things that you would never get away with now. I had written one of my first academic papers and given it to him to read. We met, I remember, to discuss it in that original Pizza Express in Coptic Street near the British Museum. That's funny. Philological's at the British Library. And now he's not here to hear this. That's funny. We were probably on our second bottle of wine, and he said something about my paper, which I've never forgotten. It may be right, Mary, but it's bloody boring. I was 24 or 25. I thought about it. Up until that moment, I had always believed writing was just about saying what you wanted to say. But after that, I realized there was someone else involved. You had to think about the reader. Mm-hmm. Am I just coming back to these same themes because this is where my mind is at, or what? Because we started out this conversation talking about ContraPoints and how he apparently has some stuff to say about writing in his new video. So I may have to actually go watch that. Like I wish I could read. I don't know. Part of me thinks maybe I'll just go read the goddamn the words of what he says, whatever the word for that is. Oh, transcript. The transcript. Because then I won't have to hear his stupid lilting lisp, will I? I don't know. Did he sound lit in this video? I know at least like, was it the beauty video? Dude sounded drunk for half that video, and it was just so upsetting. I'm like, I'm literally watching a mental ill person like enact their mental illness. This is kind of like spooky and creepy, and I don't like it. You know? And I'm, that one for some reason, I can't call him Natalie. A lot of times, and I've said this before, me personally, and maybe this is because of my, pagan history. I grew up, my dad was where, everybody had a working name, everybody had a craft name. So it's like, oh, you have a different name you prefer to go by? Okay. Or like, I changed my last name when I got married. Like people change their names. It happens. I'm fine with that. For the most part, I will call people by whatever name they want. Because that's within the normal range of human experience. People change their names. It happens. It has happened forever. But for some reason, that guy, I cannot call him Natalie. He does not look like a Natalie to me. I do not see that face and think Natalie, to the point where, like, when I looked him up, I Googled him to find out how old he was the other day. And the name came up and I went, oh, yeah. Like, I keep forgetting that that's his name. And I don't remember what his original name was. And I don't want to insult him by calling him that. Like, apparently I'm already insulting him by observing his physical, state. So, we don't need to pile on for no reason. I just, But still, thank goodness for the moniker. I'll call him Contra because that seems to fit. I don't know. There's something about that one that fits. And that guy just drives me so buggy. Like the way he talks, I just can't take it. I'm gonna have to repour my coffee, but first I gotta go use the facilities, y'all. I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. I just gotta pee. I'll be right back. Ooh. Now wait just a minute. Okay, honey. If you're watching, the van is still here, and that's all I know. So if you can see this, the van is still here. You might want to text her if you get a chance. I will go in there and see what that's about at 2:00 in an hour and a half when I'm done on here. Hi ho. That was kind of nice reading other people's stuff. I didn't have to constantly think of stuff to say. And it looks like everybody kind of left anyway. And all I can think about is the book anyway. I have to write a romance. Like, it has to work. The core relationship of the story has to work. So, here's a question. And maybe I'll put this on the community page. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a good answer from somebody. Like, what is it in a romance story that draws you in? What is it about watching two ordinary people do ordinary things that makes that engaging? I don't know. I mean, likable characters, I guess. And that's, I don't know. By that, like I say, by this point, we're 2/3 of the way through book 2. So, like, if you're not on board with these characters by then, I don't know what to tell you. She's kind of like just sort of shell-shocked and stoic and at the moment, and he is just kind of trying to hang in there. But yeah, and I have the material for this week's video. I just didn't get to it. And I'm just repeating myself now, and I still have an hour and a half worth to do, and I wish everybody would come back and talk to me because I don't know what to say, y'all. I don't know what to say. I'm going to have to pull quarters together to get a pack of cigarettes later. Fucking Thursday. Fucking Thursday, man. Fucking Thursday. And tomorrow is Friday. Today was supposed to be my day off. I mean, this is how this week has ended up going, is that I should be taking care of laundry right now. Or, whatever other stuff I might have done on a day off this week, but I'm just not going to get one. Because I'm not going to let the channel die. That's what I started out talking about, was I am kind of discouraged because none of the videos the last few weeks have really done anything. And I feel like they're some of my best work. You know, and I figure, like, realistically, rationally speaking, I feel like this is going to be a good year for the channel. I am discouraged, and I'm having this old problem pop up where I just kind of feel, and this has happened to me more times than I can think about, where, I have a nice little thing I'm doing that just gets taken away for some stupid reason. And it's actually happening to me right now at my church. I've been running the nursery over there for about 6 months, ever since they opened it back up after the pandemic. And the church school is getting ready to move the preschool over there, and they're going to revamp that part of the building. And I have not officially been told anything at all. There's no way that our little nursery isn't just going to be closed for weeks, or not months, if not months, while they are, redoing that part of the building. So, I don't, and they still haven't officially told me anything. So I just can't have nice little things. I just can't have nice things. Somebody always comes along and takes, or at least is how I feel. So that when I did find out about that by accident a few weeks ago, I wasn't really surprised, because I had just kind of been waiting for somebody to just come along and take this nice little thing away from me. So, but, barring something like that, barring YouTube decide to just revamp the building and put everybody out of business for months on end, or, something like that, rationally speaking, I figure this is going to be a good year for the channel. I just got to hang in there, and this is so important to me because it's a part of the bigger project, okay? Like the book and the channel, in my mind anyway, are directly linked. Which is part of the reason I was having so much trouble with the video, is like, because the book was, well, part of the personal struggle is the book was on the skits. That's not all of it, mind you. It was not just about the book. But so it made it real hard to be motivated to make a video that 100 people are going to see. So, one way or another, my friend who's been helping me with this all along has promised me that we're going to put some money into advertising next month. We're going to let it cook a little bit longer, and then we're going to throw a little bit of money in advertising and see if we can't bump up the numbers a little bit, the quick and dirty way. Because if I can actually get this off the ground and actually have it make any dividends whatsoever, then my project will become self-funding. Okay? The channel will become self-funding. The book project will become like, that's what this is all about. Okay? It all feeds back together. And it all deals with all the same themes, because it's all from my own perspective. I'm a middle-aged woman. Everything in the world looks like feminism to me. I don't know. But so it's been a little tough to keep my motivation up the last couple weeks. I'm not gonna lie. But I know, rationally speaking, I just got to keep hacking away at it, and something's bound to happen. If only because I've finally passed that official threshold to the point where there is any reason to throw money at it now. Okay. So that every view is a nickel in my pocket, or whatever it is. Which, like I say, is going to get sunk right back into the project, because that's the whole point of this, okay? Is to establish myself out in the world, get my face out there, get my ideas out there, so that as a writer, I don't just sort of pop up out of nowhere. I feel like people are really uncomfortable with that these days, like we want to know who somebody is, or we want to be able to find out, right? When somebody just all of a sudden pops up on the scene, we're like, whoa, who the fuck is that? Where did they come from? And you Google them to see what else they've been doing before you notice them, right? So, I can't just come out from nowhere. I want to establish myself. I want to establish my cred, honestly, because there's also this question of who is this person and why do I care? Right? Why in the fuck is anybody going to care about a book that I wrote? Well, and like I say, a lot of these rad femme ideas are just how the world is to me. I just can't, I don't know. So they're bound to be. And from the first person female protagonist, again, they're just going to be assumed. A lot of these things, they're just going to be baked into her worldview. Okay. So, like, and then the contrast between that and the Victorian world she lives in is where all the fun is going to happen, right? There's your commentary right there. It writes itself, right? I mean, I don't have to go out of my way to bludgeon people with these ideas. It happens naturally with the character and the setting. So, because when you know it, Victorian women were people. Oh my God, that reminds me. I saw the funny. This made me laugh so hard. I don't know. Like people tend to be like I've spent like the last 2 years of my life kind of in the Victorian period, doing research and everything for the book. And so then I come up for air and I go to look at something else. And I was watching something about the Tower of London just because I'm a nerd like that. And this woman was talking about how the Victorians revived the Tower. It was during that period that the Tower of London was revived and turned into a museum. And she said, oh, yes, Victorians loved the Tower of London. And I just thought, really? Every single one of them? Talking about this entire period of history from about 1835 to 1901 as a monolith. And I'm like, I know people do that, but it struck me now. That particular one struck me as ridiculous. And we tend to do this about, like Mary Beard and her Romans, right? People will refer to as the Romans did blah. And it's like, really? All of them? For 3,000 years? Are you sure? Like, and so it's these periods tend to become monolithic, in our minds. And so it's not going to be it's not going to be very difficult to surprise people. Because it isn't necessarily what you'd expect it to be. And people who lived at the time were not necessarily who you'd expect them to be. So, again, so the commentary sort of writes itself. Commentary is in there. It's between the lines, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm very conscious, and it's funny what she was saying about how there's another person to consider, the reader. Yes, I'm very conscious of the emotional impact that the reading of it is gonna. That's really part of the point. That's a big part of the point, is to go through this emotional journey with the characters. Well, with the main character, and which I'm told is what story is. So good news. There's story in my plot. But like. There's one part in particular that I had written a few weeks ago, and I had my son, my 16-year-old, sit down and read it for me, just, blind. Let me know what you think. And he's like, it was kind of uncomfortable. It was felt kind of claustrophobic, how it was so granular stepping through the steps. I'm like, yes, that's the mood I'm going for. That's how she's feeling in that moment. He's like, oh, it's like, yeah. So apparently I have gone from telling to showing to creating. Is that like, they say show don't tell? Where, you could just say, and my character was upset. Or you could kind of show them behaving upset, but it's more like I wrote her perspective as being upset. Does that make sense? And so that her discomfort is actually sort of like evoked in the reader. Okay, just by reading the scene. It's baked in. And so I figured I succeeded in that one little spot in doing what I'm trying to do, but it's delicate. What up, Boomba? You still here? Woohoo! So, yeah, I'm just talking book stuff. And like I say, that is weird. So yeah, the emotional, like you're not just watching this character go through this emotional arc. You are feeling it with her, and that is the whole point. And that's delicate. Like, fuck show versus tell. This is evoke. Okay. This is, as the reader, you're going to be, just by reading it evokes the sensation of going through that, which is, immersive. That's what I'm going for. An immersive reading experience. Yes. So it's delicate, and it's spotty at the moment. There are some parts where I've really got it well, and there are other parts that are just there, just there to be there and hold their spot so that I can come back and fix that later. And I rushed through finishing it last year. I wanted to be done by now. I wanted to be shopping. I wanted to be doing deep and rewrites by now. And looking around for editors. That was what I wanted to do. You guess? Whoops, I was about to say Smiths, and it said early. You guess Smiths? I'm still not getting it, but don't take that personally. But yeah, so it's a very fine grain that I'm going for. There's the big picture, and then there's the actually writing the thing, and then there's smoothing it down, and then there's, do I have my perspective right? You can't remember what you were going to say? Oh, you're as bad as me. I'm so sorry. Oh, no. Oh, no. But so, yeah. I don't know. I think the biggest criticism anybody can have about my protagonist is that she's not like other girls. But not on purpose. It's not like she's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. You guys are stupid. It's just more like, could fold clothes during the stream. Yeah, I would never be able to keep myself on track then. I would forget what I was saying constantly. Like, did I mention the part where I had like the week from hell? And so I haven't been eating right all week. Like, girl, okay, I don't have the brain capacity to focus on more than one thing at a time right now. That's not going to happen. But that's a good idea. Maybe next time. Because I don't want to. You guys don't want to watch me fold laundry anyway. That sounds boring. But like, also, yeah, I will just distract myself. I will just distract myself right now. But yeah, so the main character, she is a loner. And that's really the thing. I do. But it's mainly because we live in a small southern town and there is no other way to meet people. So yeah, we joined the Episcopal Church. We don't go to like a Baptist church or any of that nonsense. No. And our son goes to their school because then it gives him that consistency of, he's got like a community that he exists in. And for a 6-year-old, how fucking cool is that? And, their church is literally built out of mine. So what am I afraid? What am I scared? What am I going to, burst into flame as soon as I walk through the door. Let me tell you, that never happens. You'd sit here and watch me fold clothes? Well, okay, that's great. My other thing still stands, though, which is that my mind will wander, y'all. Like, let's not. Like, so, like, Boomba, are you on, let's see. Are you on a delay? Because I wonder, you're responding to some things I said a little while ago. So I wonder. But like, yes, I do. I am involved in the church community because that's the only community. That's the only community there is around here, unless you want to go to an AA meeting or an NA meeting. Okay. Like, there's just not. Yeah. Just in case. Because, yeah, I can see how that might be confusing. But, the thing about churches is they don't make you take a test to go in, Here's a fun fact about me. I'm actually an official heathen in that I have never been baptized. So, technically speaking, I don't even get to take communion, but that's fine because I don't want to anyway. And it's even better because, okay, being downstairs in the nursery during every service means I never have to attend the service. Okay. I get to be an active member of the community and I never have to attend a single service. It's like the best of both worlds, right? That's my angle on that. Because, like, and the services that I have attended, they have a tendency to make me sit there and go, really though? Really though? Like, I'm not super familiar with a lot of scripture, and they have their liturgy that they go through, and it's all printed in the little booklet and everything that they give you. And so sometimes, like, and I just happened to be upstairs because they asked me to come run the soundboard this one week because I used to do that too. And then I had to sit through every service. So I have sat through a few. Okay. But like, so they asked me to come up and run the soundboard this one week. And I just happened to be sitting there during the bit about Sarah, Abraham's wife, who, if we lived in a matriarchal world, they would be called the Saraic religions, not the Abrahamic religions, right? Because Sarah with no H means princess. And Sarah with the H, God changed her name when he gave her a baby, means mother of races. Which, let me tell you, the day I found that out, I was like, whoa. I've grown up all my whole life thinking my name meant princess. Come to find out, no. The H does matter. Especially in Hebrew, where it has a sound, like, so, if you ever want any, you ever have anybody talking to you about how we don't live in a patriarchal world, like the patriarchy's a myth and whatever, like, ask them about that. Why are they called the Abrahamic religions when the woman who birthed those children, the founders of the, like, I'm a fairly new viewer. I think I saw someone mention your channel on over it. Oh, awesome. And I just really like your personality. Thank you. And I'm not too familiar with details about you and what you got going. Yeah, right on. That's fair. No, yeah, I'm a little casually witchy over here is what I do. I don't, I never was a Christian and I never will be. At least it's not trans community. It has some good values no matter if you believe it or not. Right. And, there's just something about the way the church ladies just be showing up to throw down, you know? Like, there's something inspiring about that. Oh, let's get some more coffee, huh? Ooh. And yeah, in a small southern town, there just aren't a whole lot of ways to meet anybody. Like, we don't even have a bar. Okay? That's not even an option. I can't even like go down to the local bar and hang with people. That's not a thing here. I want to say the two biggest games in town are the competing Baptist churches. So, which, like I say, we go to this little teeny tiny Episcopal church because they have a good vibe. You know, they're real chill. Our priest is like, if you can imagine, Garrison Keillor mixed with Santa Claus. He is a chill dude. And he does not preach fire and brimstone and all that garbage. I would not sit and listen to that. There we go. I just know you seem like an awesome rad femme with an engaging conversation style that I enjoy watching. Well, thank you. You appreciate the topics I covered. Thank you. I try not to do the same thing everybody else is doing, you know, if only because I don't want to just repeat the same thing everybody else is saying. That seems redundant and silly and like clout chasing and like, no. Is there any, are there any kind of like, is there any one topic of mine you particularly enjoyed? Is there anything you'd like to see more of? We are a social species. We need a community. No wonder everyone is depressed in a modern hyper individual. Right. Exactly. There's got to be some balance between the individual and the group. And we as a species are just struggling with that one, aren't we? Like, just as a whole group, just all of us. You know, we're struggling collectively to find the good balance between the individual and the group, because there has to be one. There has to be one, because if you go too hard on the side of the group, then the individual suffers drastically sometimes, and if you go too hard on the individual, well, the collective suffers, and we all rely on that. So, yeah, then we all end up suffering anyway. And yeah, I think it's so interesting, the loneliness epidemic and whatever. And like I said this in the video last week, apparently there are people of all stripes all over turning to this and that faith community because they're kind of the only ones left. Unless you want to join the trans community, which is an umbrella so big it covers a lot of shit. And if you're not interested in that, then like faith communities are probably the only place left in a lot of cases, which like ours is actually trans inclusive. And there is his name is actually Tim. I am not shitting you. And I've known this kid since he was like 12. And last I heard, he thought he was a girl. I haven't spoken to him about it in a while. I don't know if he is aware of my YouTube channel or anything like that. I certainly don't think it's not my place to confront this kid. His dad's in the middle of dying of Parkinson's. Okay, so like it's not my place to confront this kid and be like, "You're not a woman," blah. Now, if I ever saw him in the ladies' room, I would probably very sternly ask him to leave. But as far as I know, he doesn't do that. As far as I know, he uses the men's room. So it's not like become an actual in-my-face issue for me personally, and he's not my kid. He's a kid of an acquaintance of mine, so who, as I say, is dying. So, like, I figure that kid probably has, like, shit to deal with, shit he's going through, that that I'm not going to help by doing that. Like, he is not a good target for my political, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, just on a human level, I just don't feel like that would help me. It wouldn't help him. It wouldn't help anybody. That would be, like, cruel. He's a kid, a confused kid who's about to be alone in the world. So, I hope, and I relate to that struggle. I had a very similar struggle myself at that age. Oh my God, I thought because I am articulate and opinionated, so I must be secretly a man inside. Okay, that's a very simplistic way of stating it, but essentially, I believed that about myself for many years. So I'm hopeful that a kid like that will come around essentially on their own. I mean, despite the fact that, yes, now there is this whole trans community thing, which, like, back in my day, we didn't have that. I figured all this shit out on my own. But, like, which is interesting because on the one hand, it really does look like a social contagion, but in my case, it wasn't. It can bubble up in isolation because in my case, it did. Okay. But so this kid lives here in this rural community where, like, there are a few other, people. I see them around. I've seen a few of them around. But I wouldn't say they have, like, a big showing here. There's not a whole lot of trans community support around here. There just isn't. This is East Tennessee. So, which it's not the conservative wasteland that people seem to think that I thought it was, honestly. Church is pretty much is an only steady community in lots of places. People don't know their neighbors in big cities. I don't know mine. See, that's what I'm saying. And we have this epidemic of loneliness, and there are these little, faith communities still left out there, still chugging along, right? And from what I gather, people are either sort of turning to that in desperation, or there's a whole lot of culty spiritual stuff going on out there, like a whole lot. Atheism's not trendy anymore, I guess, is the long and short of it. And I think the next decade's going to be really strange and interesting on that front. Because I don't, being plugged into the computer is not the answer, right? Like, Neuralink is not the answer to the loneliness epidemic, to the feeling like there's no meaning in your life, and in a lot of ways, technology is what has robbed us of these things. And I'm not saying we need to get rid of the technology, but it's important to acknowledge some of the ways that it has changed our lifestyle just as a whole, right? And that maybe not all of that is good. Which brings me back to the novel again, because that's one of the big themes of the novel is what's the difference between good change and bad change, and how do you tell? Yeah, okay. I'm definitely on delay. I can see now. You aren't seeing my comments until way later. Sorry about that. No worries. Ah, my keyboard is on delay as well. This is kind of awkward. Okay. But yeah, so And but Sue, you're exactly the sort of person who I had hoped would be out there. Somebody who appreciates my personality, what I got going on, and likes to listen to me talk, basically. Because if I had if you found me grating, then it wouldn't matter what I was saying, right? It might fall on deaf ears. And I am cognizant of stuff like that. Like I bothered to get dressed and look my best and whatever. But and that does go along back to what I was saying. Like last week, I was looking at Brittany Dawn, who I want to call Miss Brittany Dawn, because she definitely seems like somebody who is pretentious like that. But she used to be a fitness guru a few years ago when, the fit thing was in. And now she's a goddamn Christian influencer who is baptizing people. And she's evil, okay? And she was anyway. She's also been in the news for killing dogs and shit. Well, no, her husband shot the dog. But there's reason to believe that Miss Brittany Dawn and company are not good people, okay? But so the fact that a shill like that a scam artist like that has caught onto this is what has led me, is part, okay? And Andrew Tate is another one. He's a scam artist, okay? I have a terrible feeling that he kind of believes his own bullshit, but it is bullshit, right? And, the fact that people like this, people who are clout chasers and nothing else, are climbing onto faith and spirituality now tells me they're tuned in to the trends in a way that people with a soul cannot be, right? Because we have other shit to worry about. I totally get going to church for community reasons, and it's nice for your son to have that. Right, yeah. So he'll see somebody at school, and then he'll see them again over the weekend at church, and it's very coherent for him. I wanted to give him, a little coherent world to grow up in. And technology is neutral in its nature. We just need to use it correctly, which is not happening at the moment. Right. And I'm going to go ahead and presume that by correctly, you mean in a constructive and healthy way to make things better and not worse, right? Yeah. So that's, and it occurred to me, okay, that I am writing a novel set 150 years ago. People might approach this as some sort of a conservative message, okay? It's not that, okay? I mean, on the one hand, yeah, I do feel that we, in a lot of ways, have thrown out the baby with the bathwater, okay? In the way of social change, wherein not all that old stuff was bad. Not all of it was bad. Some of it was there for a reason, right? And those reasons still exist. And we're just kind of, what do we do? We don't know, because we threw everything away. So that might not have been the wisest thing to do. But that's really my whole point. It's very easy to become a grifter on the right. Right. But what I'm saying is spirituality is not a right-wing thing, okay? Even Christianity is not necessarily a right-wing thing. Like I say, our church is trans inclusive and has a sign out front that says everyone welcome with the big crazy flag, okay? And I, for one, do not think that letting conservatives have a stranglehold on any kind of faith is a good idea. Okay, and this is one of the conclusions that I've ended up coming to, which I would have laughed at 10 years ago, honestly. I did not believe this. This has been a hard-won conclusion through observation and personal experience, which is that a lot of people have a spiritual aspect to themselves. A lot of people do. A lot of people feel that. And there's nothing you can do about that, okay? Whether you think it's real or not, whether you think what they're experiencing is real or not, whether you think there's actually anything beyond this material plane, it's part of the human psyche to feel that there is, right? I don't want to let the conservative right have a monopoly on spirituality. That seems like a very bad idea. Uh, the Middle Ages would attest to that. Yeah. Like, uh, so while it may be easy to become a grifter on the right, like the whole Overton window is all in a mess anyway, right? It's very hard to tell sometimes from looking at somebody whether they are liberal or conservative. A lot of our hard lines are very blurry right now. And it's very easy to use spirituality as a grift on the right or the left. I mean, do I need to talk about TikTok tarot readings? Hello, like, what is that? Tarot readings are a personal thing. Like, okay. And I don't believe in that shit. Personally, you can do divination with dirty dishwater, okay? You don't need special fucking magic cards. But if you're going to do that, the reading you're doing is for the person who shuffled the cards. That's the only way you're going to get any kind of accurate. I'm sorry. I'm going off on a tangent now. Because really, like I say, I think tarot is kind of dumb. But if you're going to do it, there is no way you're accurately reading anything for a camera, much less the thousands of people who are going to see it after you post it. That's ridiculous. And that would be what I would call anyway, more of a liberal spiritual grift, right? Because conservatives think tarot cards are evil, okay? So they're not going to watch that. They're not going to be interested in that. It's very easy to be a spiritual grifter in any, I guess because, well, the immateriality of the whole thing. It's an uphill battle, yes. Yes. But so I guess what I'm saying is like culture, and to me when I'm talking about religion, a lot of time I'm thinking culture, okay? Because I'm not going to sit here and when I talk about Christianity, I'm not talking about the spiritual aspect of it. I'm talking about, the history, the politics, the cultural aspects of it, which are many, okay? And when I've done some comparison to that in Islam, and that's what I was talking about, the culture behind them, okay? Which one of those faiths is more true to me is like, like I don't know, like asking me, which one of these things is more blue? Like, that's a stupid question. Which one of those faiths is more true? I guess they're both true in that they work for people, but not the point. The point is that, because like that wasn't the best metaphor, because both these things are blue, right? And like, I'm not sure that either of those things is actually true, but it's just an aspect of the human psyche that has been co-opted terribly in the past, and we are so completely defenseless in that area because most of us are in denial about this fact in the first place. So I don't know. It could potentially get pretty scary. The combination of the influencer effect and religion / spirituality, like, you think there's a lot of cults now? Oh my God. Imagine if every cult of personality was actually a cult. That sounds terrifying, doesn't it? And like I say, Andrew Tate's well on his way. Okay. If that boy doesn't have his own little sect going in a couple of years, I will be shocked. People just need salvation of some sort, and they're looking for it where they can, depending on their right, exactly. And there's so much that is immaterial to the human experience, right? Emotions are immaterial. You can't really measure them. You can often observe them, but not reliably, right? You can often report them, but not necessarily reliably. But ain't nobody gonna sit there and tell me emotions don't exist. Ain't nobody gonna sit here and tell me feelings aren't real, right? That's ridiculous. So, as a human being who has the human experience full of all these ephemeral things that haunt you daily, where does it end? Where's the line? You know, especially if you actually stumble into any personal experience of anything beyond that. How do you, you know, it's not like being in the ocean where, where they got the beach like roped off and the deep water is beyond a rope. Like your mind's not like that. Okay, there's no rope. You just kind of can keep on swimming, and eventually you realize you can't touch the bottom anymore, and you get tugged under by a riptide, and off you go. Okay, so what then? There are so many. I'm not speaking from personal experience or anything though. No, really though. I guess that is how. I've had so many experiences. I'm only 40. I don't even want to think about the next half of my life. Like, theoretically, I could live easily for, another 40 years. People in my family living in their 80s, like on the regular. Like, I have already had so many experiences that have had to make me reconsider, what I thought about the world 20 years ago. I don't know. Experience has forced me to be open-minded, I guess. And I know that for some people, it goes the other way. I know that for some people, it's like, the experiences just kind of compound, their initial. Is that a temperamental thing? I don't know. This is where I get into the weeds, because this is the kind of stuff that's fascinating to me. Because my own sister, with whom I grew up and share 100% of my genetics, is the exact opposite of this. She is a knee-jerk, judgmental reaction now, react quick kind of person, and then she will dig her heels in and stick with that position come hell or high water. Okay? And that's just how she is. I've known her whole life. She was that way as a little girl, okay? And I've just never been that way. So, she used to win fights a lot. But we're the only species with consciousness as far as we know. So we have to make sense of it. Exactly. And I would almost go to say we're the only species that has self-awareness of our consciousness, because, like I say, we have 3 dogs, and dogs are definitely conscious. Okay. They definitely have some level of awareness. Like, cats are conscious, right? Like, they have a level of awareness. They have a personality. They have an identity, I want to say, but they're not aware of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have the meta awareness of, oh, I am conscious and have an identity, right? So, obviously human beings are weird. Obviously we're weird. Look at how we act compared to the other animals. Obviously we got something else going on. Like, what is this? What the heck is this? I'm going to light it on fire and then stick it in my face and light it on fire. That's insane, right? Like, from an animal perspective, that would be insane. Stick a fire in my own face? What is that? And, this and all that stuff. We cook our food like no other species does that. We have all of this culture stuff that we do that we have to do. Okay. And the thing about culture is it's just a natural outgrowth of human thought, right? Like, where there are people, there will be culture. And it does not matter the situation. It does not matter the resources. They will make something out of it, right? That's just what people do. So, yeah. It's a big project to make sense of all this, and it's like we've kind of lost sight of that, I think. We it's weird because it's like we have this drive to feel special, and it's like how Christianity, saw, and a lot of old faiths, actually, religions always used to put the earth at the center of the universe, right? And mankind is God's best creation on that earth, right? So we are the pinnacle of the center of creation, right? We need to feel special. Do you suppose that's just an explanation for why we're so weird? Do you suppose this is an explanation for the fact that we obviously are different? Like, and it's like we say, these things answer questions, right? That's why religion exists a lot of time. not faith. I'm going to distinguish that there, okay? Because the faith I was talking about a minute ago, that spiritual sense, is not religion, okay? And I'm not the first person to say this. Religion is like an outgrowth of an actual organic sense of anything, that somebody decided needed to be codified and made into rules and put in a book. Why? To control the message, my theory. That's my estimation of that. And they've just about killed the goose that laid the golden egg, haven't they? Okay? Because if religion is built on an actual spiritual experience, and you're not going to have much of a spiritual experience if you're not in touch with like your own sense of that, which to my mind, the structure just absolutely squelches that, okay? Because any kind of, especially in Christianity, any sort of, or I imagine Islam, because Muhammad was the last prophet, right, of the only God. So there's no innovation there. Any kind of spiritual innovation, any kind of, is heresy. The problem with that is that, spirituality needs to grow and change with the society that it sprang from. Okay? That's just how that works. Ask the ancient Egyptians. Who, went from the classical ancient Egypt that we all know and love all the way up to the Hellenistic period, okay, when they were essentially Greek, but they were worshiping a lot of the same gods. How do you define conscious, though? There's a lot of mammals that exhibit self-awareness. Yeah, right. I made that argument. And I think we have a higher level of like awareness of our consciousness, is I think what I was saying. I agree. Egyptians believed in a cycle of death and rebirth because they depended on Nile cycles. Culture is just an extension of our life experience. Right. It's not like interpreting it. It's like how we interpret our experiences and like kind of try and work with the world, instead of just being affected by it. Because again, you're conscious to an extra level. Hi. Okay. I'm on camera at the moment for about another half an hour. Okay. I love you. Yeah, so but this is just part of the human psyche. Is this sort of sense of the ephemeral, this sense that there is more to experience than you can see, because there literally is on a day-to-day basis. All of your feelings and sensations, everything, all that intense, the world coming at you and everything that it, invokes out of you, everything that your experiences call out of you is ephemeral. Your whole experience is ephemeral, right? So that's just part of the human psyche. And I like I say, I don't think grifters need to be the only people in this arena. The people who are. The last time I thought I had a spiritual awakening, it turned out to just be part of the manic episode I was having. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that happens. Manic psychosis is a bitch, I hear. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'm serious. I hear that's really, I'm pretty sure I don't have that. So, but yeah, if you have bipolar disorder, then, one has other, there's, like I say, but that was really my whole point, is how exactly do you tell? When your entire existence, like, is sort of ephemeral, how do you tell when it stops being legit? There's not a rope that marks up to demarcate the shallow water where it's safe to swim. Like there just isn't. Last time I thought I had. Oh wait, I just read that. Okay. But so spiritual awakenings apparently do happen. And, there are going to be people out there who are looking for that. And a lot of them are some of the most kind-hearted people. Okay. Some of them are the sort of people that a civilization needs to not be a giant dick. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times that sense moves people to, behave in community-oriented ways, right? And be really constructive and positive and warm and whatever. And not the religion, but the faith behind it, like that inner sense, is a motivator for some people, good people, right? And I don't think that those people, their only option shouldn't be grifters and conservative whack jobs. I'm sorry. And, right now it's that or the same stale shit your grandma did. And one can see why that might not have so much appeal. Well, you convinced me spirituality is not only a right thing, but how do we introduce it from the left perspective? Well, that's a really good question. I would say at least partly go back to the egalitarian. Like I say, it's all about your inner sense. And everyone can have that. And nobody can actually demonstrate that their inner sense is any more accurate than anyone else's. Just as you cannot demonstrate that you love more than anyone else or that you are sad more than anyone else, okay? It's an inner ephemeral thing. So the pissing contest there is moot. There's no point in having that argument because no one will ever win. So, in that way, it's like a leveler. It is a very egalitarian thing in that way. And, there are definitely some Christians who take it from that perspective of, we're all children of God or whatever. Like, there's definitely that angle to it. You could definitely go that way. And me personally, I would love to leave God out of it because I don't believe in him. But everybody expresses love with how much money you spend on somebody. Everybody knows you express love with how much money you spend on somebody. Okay. And everybody knows you express your sadness by wearing black makeup, right? Like I say, it's not that it's not possible to express these things, but it's impossible to actually accurately measure. Even internally, because you don't know how other people feel inside, right? So generally I express sadness by not bathing for a month, but to each their own. Yeah, right. Like I don't wear a lot of black makeup either. Oh my god! The Authentic Observer has a new feminism video up. Fuck, I'm gonna have to go watch Galatea today. I never got to her last one. I'm trying to remember why. I think it was the topic. It did not set my world on fire. But romance is dead and feminism killed it. I can't wait. She is so great. And she's funny. So, and apparently she's, kind of trying to be in the conservative, social sphere, but not really feeling it because they're a bunch of pricks. And it's well, yeah. Sucks. Everybody knows it's the millennials killing everything. Millennial feminism, though, in this case, right? I guess it would be. I don't know. She's a little young to be a millennial. I think she counts as Gen Z, so. But I don't know. All I know is I would love to be in the room with her someday and just chit-chat with her about all kinds of stuff. And apparently we both love trees, so that's cool. Well, I said everybody knows twice, so I have to listen to Leonard Cohen. Great, now I am listening to Leonard Cohen. I'm going to put my other earphone back in. There we go. What do we got now? Glassworks 6 closing. Okay. I couldn't deal with Leonard Cohen today. No. Not after this week. No way. Trying to stay a little more upbeat, trying to pick it back up. So yeah, I mean, I guess we need a we need a new lexicon is what we need. It's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Is that what you're listening to? Cheers. That's Semisonic, they have other good songs. Ah, well. That's an old bailiwick. I don't beat that one anymore. It is now on a bloody mental loop. Oh my god. That one's very catchy. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we got Glasswork 6. But so it's okay. I guess we would have to step outside religion, and that's not everybody's comfortable with that. Some people really do like the extra structure there, but as far as the larger thing, like Christianity is not going to save us. Islam is not going to save us. Like Wicca is not going to save us. Okay, like for one thing, I personally am very tired of asking some old man what to do. In a nutshell, that's my issue. I am very tired of that always being the answer. What do the old men think we should do? Let's ask them. Fuck, no. They would be the ones who got us into this problem in the first place. Why in the fuck would we ask them? I don't know. I'd put more faith in Wicca if it wasn't that every Wiccan I met wasn't flipping crazy. Right. Well, there are reasons for that. Which, I actually had a theory for a long time. I have a theory, I guess. I haven't thought about it for a long time. But they're like certain schools of faith, like attract certain personality types in a similar way to musical genres. That there's just something neurological, psychological about a certain type of person that they identify with, these certain types of things. And Wicca is one of those things where you're kind of you are absolutely allowed to let your freak flag fly. So if you have been holding that bitch down tight all your life, then yeah, that's probably the place for you. And you're going to just, wave that bitch as high as you can. And because, like I say, I was literally raised Wiccan off and on, we lived with my mom, so it wasn't like consistent, and I cannot deny that. But I do not know if that is because they are especially crazy, because look at the Catholic Church. Okay, so are all Wiccans crazy, or do they just admit it? I don't know. I don't know. No, and I've heard it said that the more religious you get, the crazier you get. I've heard that said, that it's like a mind virus, a mind worm that like eats away at your mind. And that might be. There's a word for this. I'm trying to think what it is. Or a term for it, where like an idea is actually dangerous. Like, an idea on its own can actually fuck up your head. I believe in that. If you wanted to introduce religion from a liberal perspective, you would focus on community outreach, resource sharing, social safety net supports. Right. The liberal side, the egalitarian side, exactly. And have it be more about comfort and less about fear. We don't need to establish what people are worried about. That's life. life is worrisome, isn't it? Life is hard. Life is scary and blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't need to give them hell to be afraid of. So they will need comforted. Like, people just need comforted. They just do. Like, what the fuck? No, and see, this is the thing. It's like Wicca is an earth-based religion that was also founded by a man. Which is the reason I convinced Rad Mom to go and to continue to go to our current church. They're great people, exemplifying love and grace. Right, right, right. Well, like I say, what am I going to do? Burst into flame? So far, so good on that one. Oh, what was I saying? Doggone it. I seem to have missed a lively discussion about religion, though. Because I was just, saying that there are, certain people when your cult of personality is all you've got, when that's the sort of person that you are, one of those soulless mediaites, like Andrew Tate is the one who keeps coming up because he's the one I did in a video a couple of weeks ago. He's just the most obvious example to me right now, but there are many others. Okay. Andrew Tate is his brand, right? You get the feeling that guy eats, sleeps, and breathes that brand. Like he is that guy, right? And when that's all you've got, it seems to me you probably have a lot more energy to like follow cultural trends and like get a feel for that shit. So the fact that people like that are leaning towards religion, like, I'm sorry, but 5 years ago, was Andrew Tate a conservative person? Would anyone have said that? Okay, so yeah, I guess just a solid structure to feel safe and needed, right? And a lot of times that's also what family used to provide for people, I think. Because, whether or not you feel super comfortable within your family of origin, they are a springboard to start from. Right? And people, and this isn't ideal, obviously, but even somebody who is reliably a shitbag is still reliable. Right? And there is a person who I will not name who is on the outskirts of my life at the moment, but that's her biggest problem. That's the biggest problem that anybody's ever had with her is she's not even consistently a shitbag. Every once in a while, she'll do something cool just to confuse people, I think. One of my favorite memories is that time we went to the Baptist church and we were taking notes to see which of us could find the most logical errors in the preacher's sermon. That is pretty good. But Baptists are so easy to pick on. They just kind of stand up there and and I was wondering this actually, like, what do Baptists do for holidays? Like, they don't have the liturgy. They don't have like the steps from on high to like come through. So, like, what do they do? I don't even know. It's the same thing. Some people follow Taylor Swift religiously. It's kind of amazing to watch. Right, right. Now there, okay. Now that's what I'm saying. Imagine if tomorrow Taylor Swift made religion part of her brand. Or spirituality, some kind of overt spiritual message, part of her brand, and turned her cult of personality into an actual cult. Someone like her could literally do that overnight. Okay? I'm just seeing the possibilities of a terrifying trend, okay, I guess is what I'm saying. Keep her away from Phoebe. Smelly cat Phoebe? I'm not a... Who's... Baby, who's Phoebe? Who are we talking about? I'm about to scrape me some quarters together and go down and get some cheap cigarettes, y'all. Thursdays be rough. The struggle is real. The lady who played Phoebe does all this healing crystal magical vagina stuff. No, that's Gwyneth Paltrow. I can see why you'd confuse them. They look a bit alike. I mean, unless maybe she is too. I don't know. What's that actress's name, guys? Help me out. Lisa Kudrow. Yeah. She's been married to the same man since 1995. That says something. Middle name Valerie. Perfectly nice person with off days, just like anyone else. Well, duh. Oh my god. Anyway, no, I think you're thinking of Gwyneth Paltrow. I thought that was the same person. You know. No, Lisa Kudrow is not Gwyneth Paltrow. But, you know, I see it. I see it, right? That's Lisa Kudrow. No, and Gwyneth Paltrow. Is it with a Y? Is it Gwyneth? It is. It's Gwyneth. I'm sorry. I've been calling her Gwyneth my whole life. But it's Gwyneth with a Y. I'm so sorry. Like, I see it. I see it. I do. I see the resemblance. No shit. No kidding. Let's see. How old is Lisa Kudrow? 60. How old is Oh my god. You guys. Gwyneth Paltrow is almost a full decade younger than Lisa Kudrow. Ouch. It's a proven fact that a full family is still the best thing to grow up with. It can have a lot of flaws, but look at foster care children. Result is not good. Let's just say that. Right. And it kind of reminds me of like the baby factories back in the day, right? Or like the orphanages, where they would just kind of put these children in a room and leave them there. And a lot of them would wither away and die. And they didn't know why. They didn't really understand. They were feeding them. They didn't understand why these children were withering away and fucking dying. Because kids need attention. They need to be touched. Right? There's some kind of a neurological thing that develops, through touch. And those babies were not developing. And they were just, that an uncuddled baby is a sick baby, basically. And there's, this is where feminism and I have a disagreement. Because apparently, mainstream feminism decided a long time ago that the nuclear family was just evil. Which I don't understand that. I mean, just by virtue of, like, reproduction, everyone has a mother and a father. That is the reproductive unit. Is a mother and a father and a kid. And voila, you have the evil nuclear family. And I'm just like, how do we get away from that? How do we not do that, without invoking artificial wombs? What are we trying to free ourselves from? We didn't even figure that out before we just started swinging the hammer and destroying things. And that's why, what is good change and bad change, and how do you tell? Right? Like across time. What is the difference? How do you tell whether change is good or bad? Because it's inevitable, right? Like, ironically, there's a saying, like, change is the one constant, right? We need a society that supports the family and kids. Most moms are being maids with 50-hour-a-week jobs. Bang maids with 50-hour-a-week jobs. Yeah, right? And there's no sorority of mothers. Like, that's just not a thing, apparently, anymore. Which is insane. Like, the idea that moms are not going to be out there momming. is insane because someone has to produce the next generation or there won't be one. We need to ensure that we all aren't wage slaving into misery. Oh. Yeah, yeah. Again, I had my first kid 16 plus years ago, back when most people my age were still childless. Women need to talk to women more. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It should be assumed that moms are going to be out there momming. Okay. And like, the tendency is to get judgmental. And see, this is where feminism runs into trouble because I really do. You want to talk about how ideas can be destructive? Okay. We all have like the internalized misogyny as a generalized category. We all have all kinds of ideas in here that are destructive to sorority. We are all the problem. Okay. So trying to get women to work together in that way is like herding cats because we are all, with our backs up. All of us. We are all part of the problem on that one. And there needs to be some kind of a reckoning between us of where we need to all just agree to not bite each other's heads off. I don't know. To just not, it's like where I was saying we can't compare religious faith, we can't compare strength of love. You can't necessarily compare mothering, okay? And like as a mother, I have as somebody who has parented 4 different kids, I had to be 4 different kinds of mother because they are so different. Yeah, because we've been programmed to compete with and hate each other. Right, exactly. Programmed by what? How? Okay. We all know this because we can see it, we can feel it, but we're not talking about it. And lately a lot of that has been because we have to make sure we keep the men out of the ladies' room. Uh, you know, which looked like a distraction at first, and then they started changing laws. And now I'm still kind of thinking like, I don't give a fuck about Dylan Mulvaney. I do, but I don't. You know, like, do I think that him and people like him are really gonna be the bellwether of the next decade? No, I don't. No, I don't. Children were raised like in a community of women and extended families 100 years ago. Childhood as a concept didn't even exist until Victorian times. That's not true. That's, no, the age of majority I don't think existed until Victorian times. So it was, but like the idea that children were children is not. I mean, look at the 18th century and the way they portrayed children in 18th century media. Those people understood that children were little baby people. They did. Okay. It's another distraction to put us against each other. Right. Right. And I'm just not having it anymore. And I fear that it looks as if I'm giving up the fight. And I don't mean to. And I'm still going to cover some of the trans stuff here and there. But like, I never wanted to make it a focus of the channel. It is by a large margin, not all I am concerned about. And like I say, to me, life is just sort of a feminist exercise. I am a middle-aged woman. That's just kind of how I see the world. So, I'm just not, I never wanted to focus on that. I felt like I had to focus on that a little bit here and there. And I know that that several other people are still really focused on this issue, and that's great. Like someone should be. I don't know that everyone needs to be. I think isolating 2-parent homes is another condition of capitalism. It takes a village, elders and aunts and uncles and neighbors, and right, and okay, but what do you do when I would estimate easily 3/4 of my elders' generation are absolutely toxic people? Okay. Easily half people my own age are just shitheads. Okay. Like whatever it was that poisoned us all got some of them worse than others. Got some of us worse than others. It love that for you. It made me mad and riled me up that it can't be the focus. Right, yeah. So, and I've never wanted to focus on the trans stuff entirely. It does get the clicks though, but like at this point, they are repeating themselves. And I don't want to repeat myself anymore. Like I've covered it. I want to hear more about your eco-feminist plans and writing. Well, those two are very much linked. The writing is really what I'm doing right now. My eco-feminist plans? Gosh. Watch this space, because I'm still at like it's a whole ladder I'm trying to climb, and I'm on like the second rung right now. Yeah, that really ticks me off that we have to take time away from fighting other important issues women face to keep men in woman phase from trying to co-opt womanhood in ways that make us unsafe. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And at first, 8 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever it was now, I almost couldn't believe that, like, this is really an issue? How is this even an issue? Like, y'all serious? I know. And as far as the writing, I mean, I don't know. I already babbled about that for a good little while, and we only got 10 minutes left, so maybe questions? You got any questions about the writing? I mean, I'm not sure where to start or end, really, because I've only got a few more minutes, and then I've got to get off of here. It's been 3 hours, and I don't know exactly what else it is I need to go do, but I'm sure there's something, Here's to that. And I have always tried to maintain this as a feminist space for feminism. Are we going to touch on the trans stuff? Fuck yeah. Is it all I'm about? No. And it never has been, and it never will be. And from a in a sort of Machiavellian perspective on that issue will die. I want, and I'm going to publish a book that has nothing to do with them. I just mean in your future chats, no pressure. Oh, okay, cool. I can totes do that. I love that actually, because that's easily half of what I'm doing as far as the public stuff that I'm trying to do. So, because there's this channel, but like I say, it is part of the bigger plan, part of the broader thing I'm trying to do. But yeah, and in future chats, I mean, if you have any questions about the book or anything really, or future video topics you'd love me to cover, Dylan Mulvaney is one of those clowns that makes you keep wondering how long people are going to pretend that he is stunning and brave and not a gay guy who hit the wall in his career. Right. Or just annoying. Okay. Like, he's just an annoying sort. Hey, would you be interested in doing turn-based strategy games with me? You don't need to answer now, on call, but think about it. There's a conversation to be had. I do appreciate that about your content, that it isn't entirely focused on the trans stuff. Good. Like I say, you are exactly the sort of person who I was hoping I would meet on the interwebs, because yeah, like there's so many other things to talk about. And wouldn't you know it, women are still facing all the same issues that we were 10, 15 years ago before this shit happened. Our material existence is still just kind of chugging along. And that's the other reason I didn't want to. The main big real reason is I knew this would pass. Eventually. It hasn't yet. But it will. It will. Okay. And I just don't think that 20 years from now, we're going to look back and that's going to have been the big thing we were all worried about. I just don't. And, the trans issue starts to look like small potatoes. When you start talking about like co-opting of people's spiritual selves that they don't even know they have. I'm sorry. Like, it could get so dark. It could get so scary so fast. And I'm like, Andrew Tate did what? And And he can't be the only one because he's never the like what? That guy's actually a trendsetter? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. He wishes. He wishes. Again, he's living out some movie from the 90s. I swear to God. The man is the physical embodiment of Tyler Durden, okay? And that movie's almost 30 years old. Like, get with the program, dude. Huh. He's so easy for me to pick on. It almost feels like cheating. But you know, the reason that the trans stuff is so scary is in a lot of ways it mimics like a religion, right? Or like some sort of faith-based organization. It mimics a religious ideology, and that's one of the things that makes it so scary, right? Is these unquestioning acolytes, right? So again, I feel like we covered a lot of ground today. Yes, we did. It was fun. Thank you guys for showing up and hanging out with me today and giving me some fun stuff to talk about. My bet is that in the future, when it is all over, they will try to pretend the whole thing never even happened. Oh, absolutely. There are going to be some people doing that. Good luck. And this is something that Hubs and I were talking about this morning, which is that I think like I'm fascinated by recorded media and like how this affects culture and like our own personal psyches. Okay. Because what we've done over the last 100 years or so is collectively like artificially expanded our memory, right? No longer do we have to just hear tell about people from the past. We can literally go and see them. Okay. Which is crazy. Right? In the course of human history, that's nuts. It's like we're living 100 years after the invention of writing. There is no possible way that we can foresee all of the ramifications of something like this. And I think that we are still adjusting, and I wonder if that isn't why you see just a great shift, or a big part of why you see just a great shift in some attitudes, culturally across the last 100 years or so. Is because the young people have a very different perspective growing up than the people even raising them did because of, just all of this extra information that's available. Okay. So I guess what I'm getting at is they're not going to. Heck yeah. Thank you. This has been awesome. Yeah. This week's video is going to be good. But so, yeah. I think good luck erasing all this is, I guess, the long and short of it. Good luck with that, because you can't erase shit anymore. History doesn't just go away anymore. You have to like reinterpret it, right? And on that note, I will see y'all next Wednesday at 11 o'clock with the video about J.K. Rowling's Holocaust denial and ContraPoints being a jerk. So look forward to that. And I will see y'all later. Have a good one, guys. Bye.